Pittsburgh Pirates, I switched it. Hunter Busher, first in the chat this morning. Thanks there, Hunter, for popping in there. And I'm sorry, but I thought I had edited it. I was going to do the Pittsburgh Pirates, but switched it to the Baltimore Orioles and forgot to change my title. So I'll have to edit that when we finish this stream. Sorry about that. Let's see. I don't know if I can. Let's see if I can. If I do this really quick, let me see real quick. Let me see if it'll let me do it live stream here. Thanks, Hunter, for being first in the chat. Sorry, my computers were acting up this morning. Kevin's car collecting and more. Good morning. Okay, yeah, it's not going to let me do it now, so I'll have to edit it after we are done the stream today. I guess once you're active, it won't let you make any changes. But let me just get Hunter added to my Wheel of Names drawing for the month of May. Alright, got you added in here. Let me save the file so I don't lose the names that are in there for the month of May. I am running just a few minutes late here today. I do apologize for that. Things do happen at times though. So let's see, that's done. So let me move back here. Sorry, I'm trying to work with both my computer, my iMac and my PC at the same time here because they were both giving me a hard time this morning. That's why I'm running late. Only 3 minutes. 3 minutes past my 10:30 start time. But just give me a few more seconds here. And yeah, it does say on the baseball team video series the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I do have a reason for doing the Baltimore Orioles today, so that's why I kind of switched that. Okay, that's up and running. I think I've got everything. Oh, let me turn this guy off. I had to restart my PC, so that's what's going on there in case you're wondering what I am doing. Let me see if my computer is up and running yet. And then I will be with you fully. Nolan Blondahl, were you in Eric Jab's stream yesterday night? Sorry, Hunter, I did not make it last night. Give you a little bit of an update. We went to our first church service at our church last night. So we are able to meet in our church now. I can go into some of those details a little bit later if anybody has any questions. But yes, our church actually did open up the beginning of this month, but we chose to wait until this Wednesday to go to a midweek service. And we will be going to church in our church for all the Sunday services this coming Sunday. So how was that 2017 Chrome opening? Haven't had a chance to watch it yet. Fall Creek Collectibles. Awesome. Okay, so I think I'm up and running here. Let me make sure. Dun dun dun. Okay, hold on a second here. I think my computer is still uploading. I just need to make sure I have everything lined up before I do go into everything at hand here, so I can keep an eye out on my chats. So yeah, for those that did just hop in and stuff, it does say we are doing the Pittsburgh Pirates, but that that history lesson has been postponed, and it is the Baltimore Orioles. So I will be going in and editing the Baltimore Orioles as soon as I do get the opportunity here. Okay. Okay. Give me 1 second here. I think I might be confusing myself, but that's okay. Take that one off. Okay, I think we are almost ready here. Only running a few minutes late. All right, we are getting ready now. Who let the dogs out? Must be me, because I'm in the house talking baseball. Donald Blomdahl. Boomslang is offering monthly breaks. Yeah, I saw that on his channel. He's starting to do monthly breaks, and that is pretty cool. That is very cool, actually. I'm glad to see that Boomslang's slowly expanding on what he does on his channel. He is an awesome friend. I've communicated him on a few occasions. But yeah, he's from New Jersey. And that's where I hail from when I grew up as a kid. When I was first into baseball, where I played Little League in New Jersey, and then I did go to lots of Philadelphia Phillies baseball games. Never did get up north to New York City to go to the Mets or the Yankees, but I was a big Philadelphia Phillies fan back in the day. But we are going to do the Baltimore Orioles. I tried to do some fact checking, but I didn't have a chance this morning. But I will go into, after we are done with the Baltimore Orioles, why I decided to highlight them. And eventually, coming up, most likely when baseball starts up, I am going to do a series tied in with my biographies and the history of the Seattle Mariners, the Seattle Pilots, in their 1 year existence. I think I actually should add them onto my list for the Seattle Pilots. I don't think no, I already did. I did do the Seattle Pilots already, but I will be doing a big series coming up with a lot of the biographies for the Seattle Mariners when the baseball season starts up. My partiality to my Seattle Mariners. But yes, so now that the delay is over, I've got both my computers up and running and good to go. We will get into going through the history lesson for the Baltimore Orioles. Okay. I believe I might have done these, but I want to do it one more time and just do a quick update at the end as far as why I chose the Baltimore Orioles. Okay, in lieu of something I started to do last night. So the Baltimore Orioles. Forgot to put my stream back in line here. Donald Blomdahl, are you going to win those boxes given away by Boomslang? I don't know for sure what you're talking about. Oh yeah, I know that. Hey Donald, I remember those stickers. Oh, these ones here? Yeah, from the 1991 Upper Deck. You used to get those in the packs of cards. That's why kind of pulled these out in line with my video for today. So let me do a refresh on my chat on my computer now that it's up and running, and I'll know where I left off. So O's and the O's, the Baltimore Orioles are an American professional baseball team based in Baltimore, Maryland. They compete in the Major League Baseball as a member of the American League East Division as one of the American League's 8 charter teams in 1901. This particular franchise spent its first year as a major league club in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, as the Milwaukee Brewers, before moving to St. Louis, Missouri to become the St. Louis Browns in 1902. And then after 52 years in St. Louis, the franchise was purchased in November of 1953 by a boom! Cards in my car with our Posada. Sorry, I got to take a little break there. Our Posada just gave me a $2 super chat. All right, let me take care of that right away. Let me go to my wheel of names here. Thanks there, Robert. Appreciate you doing that. Didn't have to. Cards in my car with our Posada. Sorry, I have to type something into my computer real quick, because if I do not do that, I will forget. All right. What the heck? Whoops. Oh, now I got too many in there. Hold on a second. All right. Real quick, sorry for the interruption, but anytime there's a super chat, it's worthy of an interruption. Thanks there, Robert. Appreciate you doing that. All right. Get that wheel of names saved with the 2 new entries. All right. And then if somebody will remind me when I finish with our history lesson, I will tell you what the 5 cards are up for the free giveaway this month. Okay? Hopefully you guys will enjoy them. I kind of chose them out. I'll choose each month. It'll increase. So next month in June, there will be a 6-card free giveaway. And I'll try and get good cards that people might be looking to collect. All right, so let me go back to the stream here real quick. Back to our history lesson here, where I left off. Okay. Okay, so let's see, let me back up just a slight step. So when they left Milwaukee as the Milwaukee Brewers before moving to St. Louis, Missouri to become the St. Louis Browns in 1902 after 52 years in St. Louis. The franchise was purchased in November 1953 by a syndicate of Baltimore business and civic interests led by attorney and civic activist Clarence Miles and Mayor Thomas DeLisandro Jr. The team's current owner is American trial lawyer Pete Angelos. All right, let me do a refresh here real quick. NASCAR 9012, how are you doing there, buddy? Thanks for popping into the stream today. We're up to 8 people in here. Let's continue on. The Orioles adopted their team name in honor of the official state bird of Maryland. It had also been used by several previous major and minor league baseball clubs in Baltimore, including the American League charter member franchise also named the Baltimore Orioles, which moved north in 1903 to eventually become the New York Yankees. Nicknames for the team include the O's and the Birds. The Orioles experienced their greatest success from 1966 to 1983, when they made 6 World Series appearances, winning 3 of them in 1966, 70, and 83. This era of the club featured several future Hall of Famers who would later be inducted representing the Orioles, such as third baseman Brooks Robinson, outfielder Frank Robinson, starting pitcher Jim Palmer, first baseman Eddie Murray, and there's this shortstop called Cal Ripken Jr. Anybody know him? And manager Earl Weaver. The Orioles have won a total of 9 division championships in 1969 through 1971, 1973 and 74, 1979, 1983, 1997, and then lastly in 2014. They have won 6 pennants in 1966, 1969 through 1971, 1979, and 1983, and 3 wild card berths in 1996, 2012, and 2016. Since moving to Baltimore in 1954, the franchise has a win-loss record of 5,306 wins and 5,174 losses, with a winning percentage of .506 as of the end of the 2019 season. After suffering a stretch of 14 straight losing seasons from 1998 to 2011, the team qualified for the postseason 3 times under manager Buck Showalter and general manager Dan Duquette, including a division title and advancement to the American League Championship Series for the first time in 17 years in 2014. But the 2018 team lost 115 games, prompting the team to move from the Showalter and Duquette following the season's conclusion. The Orioles' current manager, Brandon Hyde, while Mike Elias serves as general manager and executive vice president. The Orioles are also well known for their influential ballpark, Oriole Park at Camden Yards, which opened in 1992 in downtown Baltimore. Pop in the chat real quick here. Robert says, "Hola, Roberto." Laugh out loud, and then laugh out loud. Just thought I would get another spot in the giveaway. No problem there, Robert. Hey, everybody. Cards in my car. Hey there, NASCAR. And hey, Polish Arposada. Good you. Good you. How are you all doing? All right, so let's continue on with the next part. Next, we'll go over the history of the ball club. The modern Orioles franchise can trace its roots back to the original Milwaukee Brewers of the minor Western League beginning in 1877, when the league reorganized. The Brewers were there when the Western League renamed itself to the American League in 1900. So the Milwaukee Brewers in 1901. At the end of the 1900 series, the year 1900 season, that kind of threw me off there for a minute. The American League removed itself from baseball's national agreement, the formal understanding between the National League and the minor leagues. 2 months later, the American League declared itself a competing major league. As a result of several franchise shifts, the Brewers were one of only 2 Western League teams that did not fold, move, or get kicked out of the league, the other being the Detroit Tigers. In its first game of the American League, the team lost to the Detroit Tigers 14-3 after surrendering a 9-run lead in the 9th inning. To this day, it is a major league record for the biggest deficit overcome that late in the game. In the first American League season of 1901, they finished last in 8th place with a record of 48-89. Its lone major league season, the team played at Lloyd Street grounds between 16th and 18th Street in Milwaukee. So when they became the St. Louis Browns, all right, after 1 year in Milwaukee, the club relocated to St. Louis and for a while enjoyed some success, especially in the 1920s. Behind Hall of Fame first baseman George Sisler. However, the team's fortunes declined from then on, as playing success and gate recipients instead went increasingly to the Browns' own tenants, Sportsman Park, the National League Cardinals. During this period, the Browns won only one pennant in the 1944 season, stocked with wartime replacement players, and lost to the Cardinals in the third and last World Series ever played entirely in one ballpark. In 1953, with the Browns unable to afford even stadium upkeep, the owner Bill Veeck sold Sportsman's Park to the Cardinals and attempted to move the club back to Milwaukee. But this was vetoed by the American League owners. Instead, Veeck sold his franchise to a partnership of Baltimore businessmen. Because Veeck was unpopular with the fellow American League owners, his leaving baseball was a condition for the American League owners to approve the move. So then we have the Baltimore Orioles in their current lore to present day. So Miles Krieger, Gunther Brewing Company, Hofberger Group renamed their new team the Baltimore Orioles soon after taking control of the franchise. The name has a rich history in Baltimore, having been used by a National League team in the 1890s. In 1901, Baltimore and John McGraw were awarded an expansion franchise in the growing American League, naming the team the Orioles after a battle with Ban Johnson, the head of the American League, in 1902. McGraw took many of the top players, including Walter Scott, Steve Brodie, Dan McGann, Roger Bresnahan, and Joe McGinty, to the New York Giants. As an effort, McGraw kept the black and orange colors of the New York Giants, which San Francisco wears to this day. In 1903, the franchise's remaining players, assets, and debts, the corporation was transferred to New York, where they were nicknamed the Highlanders until circa 1912, by which the Yanks or Yankees had taken over as their popular moniker. As a member of the high minor league level International League, the Orioles competed at what is known as the AAA level from 1903 to 1953. The IL Orioles' most famous player was a local Baltimore product, hard-hitting left-hander pitcher Babe Ruth. When Oriole Park burned down in 1944, the team moved to a temporary home, Municipal Stadium, where they won the Junior World Series. Their large postseason crowds caught the attention of the major leagues, eventually leading to a new MLB franchise in Baltimore. So seeds of success in 1954 through 1959. After starting the 1954 campaign with a 2-game split against the Tigers in Detroit, the Orioles returned to Baltimore on April 15th to a welcoming parade that wound through the streets of downtown, with an estimated 350,000 spectators lining the route. In its first ever home opener at Memorial Stadium, later in the afternoon, they treated a sellout crowd of 46,354 people to a 3-1 victory over the Chicago White Sox. The remainder of the season would not be as pleasant, with the team enduring 100 losses while avoiding the American League cellar by only 3 games, with fellow investors both frustrated with his domination of the franchise's business operations and dissatisfied with yet another 7th place finish. Clarence Miles resigned in early November 1955. Real estate developer James Kelty Jr. succeeded him as president, with investment banker Joseph Englehart with the new board chairman. The seeds of longtime success were planted on September 4th, 1954, when the Orioles hired Paul Richards to become the ball club's manager and general manager. He had laid the foundation for what would years later be called the Oriole Way. The instruction of baseball fundamentals became uniform in every detail between all classes within the organization. Players were patiently refined until fundamentally sound instead of being hastily advanced to the next level. All right, Candace Henry, I'm here. Hi, just got here. Nice to see you there, Candace. Appreciate you coming into the stream here. Cards in my car with Arpasada. Hello, Henry. Haven't been here in a long time. Was busy. That's okay. Everybody gets busy doing their own things in their own worlds. That's for sure. Hope everyone is having a great time. Happy to see you make it this time, Henry. All right. So for the remainder of the 1950s, let me do a refresh here so I know where I left off. The Orioles crawled up the standings, reaching as high as 5th place with a 76-76 record in 1957. Richards succeeded in stocking the franchise with a plethora of young talent, which included Dave Nicholson, Pete Ward, Ron Hansen, the 1960 American League Rookie of the Year, Milt Pappas, Jerry Adair, Steve Barber, with 20 wins in 1963. Boog Powell, Dave McNally, and Brooks Robinson. Unfortunately, Richards also had the tendency to recklessly spend money on individuals with dubious baseball skills. This became a major problem as bidding wars between ball clubs to land the best amateur players escalated signing bonuses. The solution came on November 5th, 1958, when Lee MacPhail was appointed to general manager, allowing Richards to focus on his managerial duties. MacPhail added much-needed discipline to the scouting staff by establishing cross-checkers who thoroughly evaluated young hopefuls to determine whether they were worthy of being tendered a contract. He also accepted the title of president after Keelty resigned in mid-December 1959. Donald Blondell, has you heard of the first 1954 manager for the Orioles, Harry Breachman? Was not aware of that one for sure there, but thanks. There, Hunter. Appreciate that. Pennant contenders in 1960 through 1965. All right. So 1 month prior to the end of the 1961 season, Richards resigned as team skipper to become the general manager of the expansion Houston Colts 45s. A year earlier, he succeeded in establishing the Orioles as a legitimate contender when they stood atop the American League standings as late as early September before finishing in second place at 89-65. All right. So in 1964, the Birds, piloted by Hank Bauer in his first year of managing the ball club, were involved in a tight pennant race against the Yankees and White Sox. Then ended up in third place with a 97-65 record, only 2 games out. It has been suggested they would likely have advanced to the Fall Classic had it not been for a minor wrist injury that sidelined Powell for 2 weeks in late August. Nevertheless, Brooks Robinson enjoyed a breakout season with a league-high 118 RBIs and won the American League Most Valuable Player Award. The television radio network of CBS purchase of a major stake in the Yankees on September 9th of that same year resulted in a change to the ownership situation in Baltimore. Englehart, the Orioles' largest shareholder at 32%, owner of a sizable amount of CBS stock, straightened out his conflict of interest issues on May 25, 1965, by selling his 64,000 shares in the ball club to the National Brewing Company, an original team investor which had finally had controlling interest at 65%. Brewer president Gerald Hofberger became the Orioles' new chairman of the board. Hofberger's first action was installing Frank Cashin, the director of advertising for the National Brewery, as senior vice president and chief operating officer for the Orioles. With the benefit of a deep talent pool and superior scouts, the franchise continued to make improvements at the major league level. 3 months before the start of the season, the Orioles established its infield by acquiring Luis Arpacio in a transaction that involved sending a trio of homegrown players, Hanson, Nicholson, and Ward, to the White Sox. They also scoured the minor leagues for selections in the Rule 5 draft. Paul Blair from the Mets in 1962, Mo Drabowski from the Cardinals in 1965, and claims off waivers Kurt Blefary, 1965 American League Rookie of the Year from the Yankees in 1963. All right. Yes, there are, Huber. You're doing your research really well. There are 3 inductees into the Hall of Fame for tomorrow. You probably know who they are. You could probably list them in the chat if you want to. All right. So next section is Milt Pappas for Frank Robinson. On December 9th, 1965, the Orioles traded pitcher Milt Pappas and several others to the Cincinnati Reds in exchange for slugging outfielder Frank Robinson. The following year, Robinson won the American League Most Valuable Player Award, thus becoming the first and so far only man to win the MVP. All right, in each league. Robinson won the National League MVP in 1961, leading the Reds to the pennant. In addition to winning the 1966 MVP, Robinson also won the Triple Crown, leading the American League in batting average, home runs, and runs batted in, a feat also achieved the following season by Boston's Carl Yastrzemski. The Orioles won their first ever American League championship in 1966 and, in a major upset, swept the World Series by outdueling the defending world champion Los Angeles Dodgers, whose pitching staff was led by aces Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale. The only home run ball ever hit completely out of Memorial Stadium was slugged by Robinson on Mother's Day in 1966 off Cleveland Indians pitcher Luis Tiant. It cleared the left field single-deck portion of the grandstand. A flag was later erected near the spot the ball cleared. The back wall with simply the word "Here" upon it. The flag is now in the Baltimore Orioles Museum. Pappas went 30-29 in a little over 2 years with the Reds before being traded, although he would go on to have back-to-back 17-win seasons for the Chicago Cubs in 1971 and 72, including a no-hitter in the latter season. This did not help the Reds, who ended up losing the 1970 World Series to Robinson and the Orioles. This trade has become renowned as one of the most lopsided in baseball history, including a mention by Susan Sarandon in her opening soliloquy of the 1988 film Bill Durham. Bad trades are part of baseball. I mean, who can forget Frank Robinson for Milt Pappas? All right, let me pop in the chat here. Branch Rickey, Red Ruffing, and Lloyd Weiner are for the class of 67. When I first remember watching the Orioles, Frank Robinson was the manager, and Mickey Tettleton was a great hopeful. That's cool there, Jose. Yep, back in the day when Baltimore had a pretty good team. All right, and here we go, glory years. Glory years, okay? I'm getting closer to the point where I really got interested more in the Baltimore Orioles. In the 1960s, the Orioles farm system produced an especially large number of high-quality players and coaches and laid the foundation for 2 decades of on-field success. This period included 18 consecutive winning seasons from 1968 through 1985, a run of success that saw the Orioles become the envy of the league and the winningest team in baseball. During this period, the Orioles played baseball the Oriole way, an organized ethic best described by longtime farm and farmhand and coach Cal Ripken Sr. Everybody remembers Cal Ripken Sr. Phrase for perfect practice makes perfect. The Oriole way was a belief that hard work, professionalism, and strong understanding of fundamentals were the keys to success at the major league level. It was based on the belief that if every coach at every level taught the game the same way, the organization could produce replacement parts that could be substituted seamlessly into the big league club with little or no adjustment. Elaborations on the Oriole way included pitching coach and manager Ray Miller's maxim, work fast, change speeds, and throw strikes, and manager Earl Weaver's maxim, pitching defense and 3-run homers. The Oriole way began flourishing in 1966 after the Robinson for Papas deal. As Robinson won the Triple Crown Award, his Orioles would easily sweep the Los Angeles Dodgers in the 1966 World Series. After a mediocre 1967 season, Hank Bauer would be replaced by Earl Weaver halfway into 1968. The Orioles would finish second in the American League, and this would only be a prelude to 1969, when the Orioles won 109 games and easily won the newly created American League East Division title. Mike Kuehler shared the Cy Young Award with Detroit's Denny McLain after sweeping Minnesota in the American League Championship Series. Baltimore was shocked by losing to the New York Mets in a 5-game World Series. The next year, Boog Powell won the MVP, and the Orioles won another 108 games after sweeping the Twins once again in the ALCS. The Orioles won the 1970 World Series by defeating the Cincinnati Reds' Big Red Machine in 5 games. In 1971, the Orioles won another division title thanks to 4 20-game winners on their pitching staff: Kuehler, Jim Palmer, Pat Dobson, and Dave McNally. After defeating the young Oakland A's in the ALCS, the Orioles would lose a heartbreaking 7-game World Series to the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Orioles would miss the playoffs in 1972, but rebounded to win the division in 1973 and 74. Each time they would lose to Oakland in the ALCS. During this stretch, the Orioles began to phase out their veteran infield by replacing Davey Johnson and Brooks Robinson with younger stars Bobby Grich and Doug DeCences, respectively. Johnson would be dealt along with Johnny Oates to the Atlanta Braves for catcher, and 1971 National League Rookie of the Year Earl Williams. Although Williams had hit 63 home runs in 2 seasons with Atlanta, he would hit only 36 home runs in 2 seasons with the Orioles. In 1975, the Birds acquired slugger Lee May in a trade with Houston and traded Dave McNally, Rich Coggins, and minor league pitcher Bill Kirkpatrick to Montreal for star outfielder Ken Singleton and future 20-game winner Mike Torres. Jim Palmer won the Cy Young Award, but the Orioles lost the division to the Boston Red Sox and their mega rookies Fred Lynn and Jim Rice. The 1976 season brought Reggie Jackson and Ken Holtzman from a trade with Oakland, but the Orioles won only 88 games. It was a season when the Orioles made made a trade that brought them players such as Tippy Martinez and Jack Dempsey. This young foundation, along with the departures of the unhappy Jackson Holtzman, would create the basis for 1977. The no-name Orioles, along with the Rookie of the Year Eddie Murray, won 97 games and finished tied for second place with Boston. After finishing fourth in 1978, the Orioles finally won the division in 1979 thanks to strong play from Ken Singleton and Cy Young winner Mike Flanagan. The Orioles defeated the Angels in the ALCS, but lost to Pittsburgh in another stunning World Series. This started a short period of heartbreak for Baltimore, which would nevertheless culminate in a championship. Pop in the chat real quick here. Okay, Donald, when was Earl Weaver the manager of the Orioles? I can't remember exactly if we already talked about it or it's still upcoming. All right. Was Branch Rickey notably known for his time with the Cardinals or the Brooklyn Dodgers as general manager? Boy, you ask all kinds of interesting questions, Hunter. You must eat, sleep, and drink baseball, or you just like to do the research. I don't know. I would have to check into that and try and find out. I'm not a baseball aficionado, but I do love the sport of baseball and talking and sharing the history about baseball. Okay, Hunter, but I appreciate your questions all the time. You cease to amaze me. The Orioles won 100 games in 1980 thanks to Cy Young winner Steve Stone, who went 25-7 with a 781 record, while leading the league in wins, a franchise record, and win-loss percentage. But the Yankees won 103 games, although Baltimore had the best overall record in the American League East in 1981. They finished second in each half. As a result, they were out of the playoffs due to the postseason structure that year because of the strike. The 1982 campaign saw Baltimore eliminated on the final weekend of the season by the Milwaukee Brewers in an unforgettable scene despite the season-ending loss, eliminating them from the playoffs. Fans stayed to honor the retiring Earl Weaver, who would be succeeded by Joe Altobelli. In 1983, Altobelli would lead the Orioles to 98 wins and a division title thanks to MVP, you guessed it, Cal Ripken Jr. The Orioles defeated the Chicago White Sox in the ALCS thanks to a 10th inning homer by Tito Landrum. In the deciding game, the Orioles won the World Series in 5 games by defeating the Philadelphia Phillies. Sports Line's in the house. How you doing here, Sports Line? Thanks for popping in with us. Appreciate you being here. Let me do a refresh on my chat here so I know where I left off. All right. So, during their most productive years, the only World Series championship thus far. Oh, sorry about that. The glory years of the Baltimore Orioles effectively ended when the Detroit Tigers, a divisional rival at the time, went 35-5 to open the 84 season, on the way to winning the World Series, in which Hall of Famer pitcher Jim Palmer retired during the 1984 season. Final seasons at Memorial Stadium in 1984 through 1991. All right, after winning the 1983 World Series, the Orioles spent the next 5 years in steady decline, finishing 1986 in last place for the first time since the franchise moved to Baltimore. The team hit bottom in 1988 when it started the season 0-21 en route to 107 losses and the worst record in the majors that year. The Why Not Orioles surprised the baseball world the following year by spending most of the summer in first place until September, when the Toronto Blue Jays overtook them and seized the American League East title on the final weekend of the regular season. The next 2 years were spent below the 500 mark, highlighted only by Cal Ripken Jr. winning his second AL MVP award in 1991. The Orioles said goodbye to Memorial Stadium and the team's home for 38 years at the end of the 1991 campaign. So then we have Camden Yard opens in 1992 and 1993. Opening to much fanfare in 1992, Oriole Park at Camden Yards was an instant success, spawning other retro-designed Major League ballparks within the next 2 decades. The stadium became the site of the 1993 All-Star Game. The Orioles returned to contention in those first 2 seasons at Camden Yard, only to finish in 3rd place both times. Angelos takeover. Also in 1993, the new owner, Eli Jacobs, forced to divest himself of the franchise. Baltimore-based attorney Peter Angelos, along with the ownership syndicate he headed, was awarded the Orioles in bankruptcy court in New York City, returning the team to local ownership for the first time since 1979. Of course, strike year of 1994. After the 1993 season, the Orioles acquired first baseman Rafael Palmeiro from the Texas Rangers. The Orioles, who spent all of 1994 chasing the New York Yankees, occupied second place in the new 5-team American League East when the players' strike, which began on August 11th, forced the eventual cancellation of the season. All right, and then we have Ripken breaks the streak in 1995. The labor impasse would continue into the spring of 1995. Almost all the major league clubs held spring training using replacement players, with the intention of beginning the season with them. The Orioles, whose owner was a labor union lawyer, were the lone dissenters against creating an Erstaz team, choosing instead to sit out spring training and possibly the entire season. They had fielded a substitute team. Cal Ripken Jr.'s consecutive game streak would have been jeopardized. The replacements questions became moot when the strike was finally settled. The Ripken countdown resumed once the season began. Ripken finally broke Lou Gehrig's consecutive game streak of 2,130 games in a nationally televised game on September 6th. This was later voted the all-time baseball moment of the 20th century by fans around the country in 1999. Ripken finished his streak with 2,632 straight games, finally sitting on September 20th, 1998, the Orioles' final home game of the season against the Yankees at Camden Yards. The Orioles finished 2 games under 500 with 71 and 73 as their record, in 3rd place in Phil Regan's only season of managing the ball club. All right, and then we have their playoff years from 1996 to 1997. 1996 season. Before the 1996 season, Angelos hired Pat Gillick as general manager, given the green light to spend heavily on established talent. Gillick signed several premium players like B.J. Surhoff, Randy Myers, David Wells, Roberto Alomar, under new manager Davey Johnson, and on the strength of the then major league record 257 home runs in a single season, the Orioles returned to the playoffs after a 12-year absence by clinching the American League wild card berth. Alomar set off a firestorm in September when he spat into home plate umpire John Hirschbeck's face during an argument in Toronto. He was later suspended for the first 5 games of the 1997 season, even though most wanted him banned from the postseason. After dethroning the defending American League Championship Cleveland Indians 3-1 in the division series. The Orioles fell to the Yankees 4-1 in the American League, the ALCS, notable for right field umpire Rich Garcia's failure to call fan interference in the first game of the series, when a 12-year-old Yankee fan, Jeffrey Mayer, reached over the outfield wall to catch an in-play ball, which was scored as a home run for Derek Jeter, tying the game at 4-4 in the 8th inning. Absent Mayer's interference, it appeared as if the ball might have been off the wall or caught by right fielder Tony Tarasco. The Yankees went on to win the game in extra innings on an ensuing walk-off home run by Bernie Williams. Then we have 1997 season. The Orioles went wire to wire, first place from start to finish, in winning the American League East title in 1997 after eliminating the Seattle Mariners 3-1 in the division series. The team lost against the ALCS this time to the underdog Indians 4-2, with each Orioles loss by only a run. Johnson resigned as manager after the season, largely due to a spat with Angelos concerning Alomar's fine for missing a team function being donated to Johnson's wife's charity. Pitching coach Ray Miller replaced Johnson. All right, let me take a pop in the chat quick. Brant Trickey will always be known for his selection and promotion of Jackie Robinson, although he was also known as the father of the minor leagues. Oh, there you go. Robert Hunter's saying Robert Home, Brant Trickey is in the Cardinals Hall of Fame. Okay, again, Hunter, you don't need to repeat your chats when you put them in there. All you got to do is put it in once, okay, buddy? Trent, all right, Tom Selleck is my favorite player. That is cool there, Trent. Appreciate you popping into the stream here. We got 6 people still watching. Appreciate each and every one of you that are still here listening to the lesson. So the next section we do have is 14 consecutive losing seasons from 1998 through 2011. 1998 season. With Miller at the helm, the Orioles found themselves not only out of the playoffs, but also with a losing season. When Gillick's contract expired in 1998, it was not renewed. Angelos brought in Frank Wren to take over as general manager. The Orioles added volatile slugger Albert Bell, but the team's woes continued in the 1999 season, with stars like Rafael Palmeiro, Roberto Alomar, and Eric Davis leaving in free agency. After a second straight losing season, Angelos fired both Miller and Wren, and he named Sid Thrift the new general manager and brought in former Cleveland manager Mike Hargrove. So in the 1999 season, in a rare event on March 28, 1999, the Orioles staged an exhibition series against the Cuban national team in Havana. The Orioles won the game 3-2 in 11 innings. They were the first major league team to play in Cuba since 1959. When the Los Angeles Dodgers faced the Orioles in an exhibition, the Cuban team visited Baltimore in May of 1999. Cuba won the second game 10-6. The 2000 and 2001 seasons, Ripken retires. Cal Ripken Jr. achieved his 3,000th hit early in the season. A fire sale occurred late in the season where the Orioles traded away many veterans for unproven young players and minor league prospects. The Orioles called up many of their AAA players to finish the season. The only acquired player who would have a long-term career with the organization was Melvin Mora. All right. This was Cal Ripken Jr.'s final season. His number 8 was retired in a ceremony before the final home game of the season. right? Then we have the 2002 and 2004 seasons. The team's first year without Ripken saw the team with a record of 63 and 63 at the conclusion of play on August 23rd, but then proceeded to lose 32 of its last 36 games of the season, including their final 12 in a row to finish the season 67 and 95. In an effort to right the Orioles' sinking ship, changes began to sweep through the organization in 2003. General manager Sid Thrift was fired, and to replace him, the Orioles hired Jim Beattie as executive vice president, Mike Flanagan as the vice president of baseball operations. After another losing season, manager Mike Hargrove was not retired, and the Yankees coach Lee Mazzilli was brought in as his new manager. The team signed powerful hitters, shortstop Miguel Tejada, catcher Javi Lopez, and former Oriole first baseman Rafael Palmeiro. The following season, the Orioles traded for outfielder Sammy Sosa. Then in the 2005 season, the team got hot early in 2005 and jumped out in front of the American League East Division, holding on to first place for 62 straight days. However, turmoil on and off the field began to take its toll as the Orioles started struggling around the All-Star break, dropping them close to the surging Yankees and Red Sox. Injuries to Lopez, Sosa, Luis Matos, Brian Roberts, and Larry Bigby came within weeks of each other, and the team grew increasingly dissatisfied with the Band-Aid moves of the front office and manager Mazzilli to help them through this period struggle. Various minor league players, such as Single-A Frederick outfielder Jeff Florentino, outfielder Jeff Florentino, were brought up in place of more experienced players such as outfielder David Newhan, who had batted .311 for the previous season. After starting the season 42 and 28, the Orioles finished the season with a stretch of 32 and 60, ending at 74 and 88. Only the Kansas City Royals had a worse winning percentage for the season than did the Orioles for the final 92 games. The club's major offseason acquisition of Sammy Sosa posted his worst performance in a decade with 14 home runs and a .221 batting average. The Orioles did not attempt to re-sign him. The Orioles also allowed Palmeiro to file for free agency and publicly stated that they would not re-sign him. On August 25th, pitcher Sidney Ponson was arrested for DUI on September 1st. The Orioles moved to void his contract on a morals clause and released him. The Major League Baseball Players Association filed a grievance on Ponson's behalf, and the case was sent to arbitration and was eventually resolved. In the 2006 season, World Series Baseball Classic, the Orioles contributed more players than any other Major League team, with 11 players suiting up for their home nations. Eric Bedard and Adam Loewen pitched for Canada. Rodrigo Lopez and Geronimo Gil, released before the season began by the club, played for Mexico. Daniel Cabrera and Miguel Tejada for the Dominican Republic. Javi Lopez and Luis Matos for Puerto Rico. Bruce Chen for Panama. Ramon Hernandez for Venezuela, and John Stevens for Australia. The Orioles finished the 2006 season with a record of 70 wins and 92 losses, 27 games behind the American League East leading Yankees. And then we have the 2007 season. On June 18th, the Orioles fired Sam Perlozzo after losing 8 straight games. He was replaced on interim basis by Dave Tremblay. On June 22nd, Miguel Tejada's consecutive game streak came to an end due to an injury, the 5th longest streak in Major League history. Aubrey Huff became the first Oriole to hit for the cycle at home. On June 29th, against the Angels. On July 7th, Eric Bedard struck out 15 batters in a game against the Texas Rangers to tie a franchise record held by Mike Mussina. On July 31st, 2007, Andy MacPhail named Dave Tremblay as the Orioles manager through the remainder of the 2007 season and advised him to keep up the good work. Facing the Texas Rangers in a doubleheader at Camden Yards on August 22nd, the Orioles surrendered 30 runs in the first game, a modern era record for a single game in a 30-3 defeat. The Orioles led the game 3-0 after 3 innings of play. 16 of Texas's 30 runs were scored in the final 2 innings. The Orioles would also fall in the nightcap 9-7. All right. So in the 2008 season, the Orioles season in a rebuilding mode under President of Baseball Operations Andy MacPhail, the Orioles traded away Miguel Tejada to the Astros and Eric Bedard to the Seattle Mariners for prize prospect Adam Jones, lefty reliever George Sherrill, and minor league pitchers Cam Micolio, Chris Tillman, and Tony Butler. The Orioles started off the first couple weeks of the season near the top of their division as players such as Nick Markakis and newcomer Luke Scott led the team offensively. Although the Orioles hovered around 500 for much of the season, they had fallen back by September and were 20 games behind the first-place Tampa Bay Rays. They finished the season losing 11 of their final 12 games and 28 of their final 34. The team finished last for the first time since their 1988 season. After the season ended, the Orioles showcased altered uniforms with circular Maryland patch added to the left-hand sleeve of all jerseys and the gray road jerseys displaying Baltimore across the chest for the first time in a quarter century. This reflected the arrival of the Washington Nationals, because ever since the Washington Senators had departed for Texas in 1972, the Orioles had claimed to represent Baltimore, Washington metro area. Okay. So the 2009 season, as we progress through here. All right. On June 30th, the Orioles rallied to score 10 runs against the Boston Red Sox after facing a 10-1 deficit in the 7th inning, winning the game by 11-10, setting a Major League Baseball record for the largest comeback in a last-place team over a first-place team. However, the team finished the 2009 season with 64 wins and 98 losses, making it the worst record in the 2009 American League season. Despite this, manager Dave Tremblay was rehired for the 2010 season. Center fielder Adam Jones was named to the 2009 All-Star team and awarded a Gold Glove Award for his defensive play. In the 2010 season, on April 12th, the team set a club record for the lowest paid attendance in Camden Yard history. Only 9,129 people attended the game versus the Tampa Bay Rays. The Orioles went 2-16 to begin the season, last in the league by quite a margin. On June 4th, with an 8-game losing streak and the worst record in the league at 15-39, the Orioles replaced Dave Tremblay as manager and third base coach Juan Samuel as interim manager. They did well at first, but then they started losing again, going 17-34 under Samuel. The Orioles hired Buck Showalter on July 29th to be the full-time manager. He was introduced on August the 2nd and made his debut on August the 3rd. After the Orioles fired Samuel, Showalter's arrival produced or coincided with a turnaround. The Birds went 34-23 under Showalter to finish 66-96. In the 2011 season, on February 4th, the Orioles signed free agent Vladimir Guerrero to be the team's designated hitter. Playing for the Texas Rangers during the 2010 season, Guerrero hit 29 home runs with a .300 batting average. His career batting average was .320 with 436 home runs. The Orioles' 2011 record was 69-93, the 14th consecutive losing season for the franchise dating back to 1998. The highest of the season was their final game on September 28th when they defeated the Boston Red Sox 4-3, thanks to the ninth inning heroics by Nolan Remold and Roberto Andino. The Orioles' victory prevented the Red Sox from earning the wild card berth as part of Game 162, one of the most dramatic nights in Major League Baseball history. On November 8th, the Orioles announced the hiring of Dan Duquette as Vice President of Baseball Operations, de facto general manager, in the hopes of turning the corner. So then we have the return to success in the 2012 to 2016 era. In 2012, the Orioles finished the first half of the 2012 season with a winning record for only the second time since going wire to wire in 1997, with a record of 45-40 before the All-Star break. On May 6th, the Orioles played a 17-inning game against the Boston Red Sox, the first game since 1925 in which both teams used a position player as a pitcher. The Orioles won that game, and designated hitter Chris Davis received the win. The Orioles won their 81st game on September 13th, ending the streak of 14 straight years with a losing record. As well as ensuing, the team would spend the entire year with a record of 500 or higher. On September 16th, they won their 82nd game, securing their first season with a winning record since 1997. On September 21st, closer Jim Johnson earned his 46th save of the season, setting a new Orioles franchise record for saves by one pitcher in a single season. It was previously held by Randy Myers, who had 45 saves in 1997. Johnson became the 10th player to record 50 saves in Major League history. He finished the regular season with 51 saves. With the win against the Boston Red Sox on September 30th and the loss of the Los Angeles Angels to the Texas Rangers in the second game of a doubleheader, the Orioles clinched a playoff berth. This season marked the Orioles' return to postseason play. The Orioles finished the regular season in second place in the American League East with a record of 93-69, reversing the 69-93 record from the previous year. Despite a poor run differential, +7, the lowest of all playoff teams in 2012, they benefited from a 29-9 record in games decided by one run and a 16-2 record of extra innings games. They went on the road to face the team that finished first in the wild card race, the Texas Rangers, for a one-game playoff on October 5th, winning 5-1 to advance to the ALDS against the New York Yankees on October 7th. The reason was also distinctive for the fact that the Orioles became the only team in MLB history since 1900 never to have lost a game due to an opponent's walk-off hit. Despite a regular season of avoiding walk-off losses, they lost Game 3 of the ALDS when the Yankees' Raul Ibanez hit his own record-setting game-winning home run in the bottom of the 12th. The Orioles would lose the 2012 ALDS in 5 games. Continue on here. The 2013 season. During the home opener on April 5th, first baseman Chris Davis set a new MLB record with 16 RBIs during the first 4 games of a season, as well as becoming the 4th player to ever hit a home run in the first 4 games, including a grand slam in the 4th. On September 13th, Davis hit his 50th home run of the season against the Toronto Blue Jays, tying Brady Anderson for the most home runs in Orioles history. Davis would break Anderson's record 4 days later against the Boston Red Sox. His 51st home run also tied Anderson's record of 92 extra base hits in a single season, a record he would again break 4 days later. Davis would go on to finish the season with 53 home runs. On September 18th, the Orioles played their 114th errorless game of the season, setting a new MLB record for the most errorless games in one season since 1900. They played 119 games without an error, ending on September 27th. On September 20th, the Orioles played the Tampa Bay Rays in an 18-inning game that lasted 6 hours 54 minutes, a new record for longest game in terms of both franchises, as well as innings for the Rays. The Rays won 5-4. While the Orioles would ultimately miss the playoffs in 2013, they finished with a record of 85-77, tying the Yankees for 3rd place in the American League East by posting winning records in 2012 and 13. The Orioles achieved the feat of back-to-back winning seasons for the first time since 1996 and 1997. Then we have the 2014 season. On September 16th, the Orioles clinched the division for the first time since 1997 with a win against the Toronto Blue Jays, as well as making it back to the postseason for the second time in 3 years. The Orioles finished the 2014 season with a 96-66 record and went to sweep the Detroit Tigers in the ALDS. Notably, the 3 Tiger starters were winners of the previous 3 American League Cy Young Awards: Max Scherzer in 2013, Justin Verlander in 2011, and David Price in 2012. The O's were then in turn swept by the Kansas City Royals in the ALCS. Then we go to the 2015 season. On April 26th, the Orioles scored 18 runs against the Boston Red Sox, the most runs they had scored in a single game since they defeated the Cleveland Indians 18-9 on April 19, 2006. The Orioles beat the Red Sox 18-7 on June 16th. The Orioles scored 19 runs against the Philadelphia Phillies, making it the most runs the Orioles have scored since earlier in the season against the Red Sox. The Orioles had 8 home runs during the game, a franchise record. The team then later got their 5,000th win as the Orioles on June 28th with a shutout of 4-0 win over the Indians. On August 16th, the Orioles defeated the Oakland Athletics 18-2, during which the team tied a franchise record for hits in a single game with 26. On September 11th, the Orioles rallied from a 2-run deficit of 6-4 in the bottom of the 8th inning against the Kansas City Royals. The Orioles won the game 14-8. The rally included left fielder Nolan Remold and designated hitter Steve Clevenger, both hitting their first career grand slams, making the Orioles the only franchise in the history of Major League Baseball to hit multiple grand slams in the same inning in 2 different games. The last time being in 1986. On September 30th, in a reverse fortune, the Toronto Blue Jays clinched the American League East with a win over the Orioles in Baltimore, where they watched the Orioles celebrate their division title clinch the previous year. All right, in response to the 2015 unrest, out of an abundance of caution, the Baltimore Orioles announced the postponement of the April 27th and 28th games against the Chicago White Sox following violent riots in West Baltimore following the death of Freddie Gray. Following the announcement of the second postponement, the Orioles announced that the third game in the series, scheduled for Wednesday, April 29th, was to be closed to the public and would be televised only. Apparently the first time in 145 years, Major League Baseball, that a game had no spectators, and breaking the previous 131-year-old record for lowest paid attendance to an official game, the previous record being 6. The Orioles beat the White Sox 8-2, and the Orioles said the makeup games would be played Thursday, May 28th as a doubleheader, in addition to the weekend games against the Tampa Bay Rays. Was moved to the Rays home stadium in St. Petersburg, where Baltimore played as the home team. All right, and then as far as next that they have here is 2016 Baltimore Orioles season was the 116th season in franchise history, the 63rd in Baltimore, and the 25th at Oriole Park, Camden Yards. They improved on their 2015 record of 81 and 81, finishing 89 and 73, and advanced to the playoffs on the last day of the season, October 2nd, where they lost. To the Blue Jays in the American League wild card game, 5-2 in 11 innings. This was the Orioles' third postseason appearance in 5 years. Right fielder Mark Trumbo won the MLB and American League home run championships with 47. 2016 was the fourth consecutive year in which the Orioles won the home crown, following Chris Davis in 2013, Nelson Cruz in 2014, and Davis again in 2015. Closer Zach Britton recorded a perfect 47 saves in 47 opportunities, and Britton set an all-time record of 43 consecutive appearances without allowing an earned run. Britton's .54 ERA was the lowest ever recorded by a pitcher with at least 50 innings pitched. As of 2020, this is not only the last Orioles playoff appearance, but also their last winning season. All right, and then we have in 2017, the Baltimore Orioles season was the 117th season in Baltimore Orioles franchise history, the 64th in Baltimore and 26th in Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Despite a modest 22-10 start to the season, they failed to improve from their 89 and 73 record from 2016. They were eliminated from the American League East contention with their September 18th loss to the Boston Red Sox, 13.5 games behind the division-leading Red Sox. They were entirely eliminated from postseason contentions on September 23rd with their loss to the Tampa Bay Rays, 7.5 games behind the Minnesota Twins for second American League wildcard spot. With their 82nd loss also on September 23rd, they ensured a sub-500 record, the second time under manager Buck Showalter. They finished the season 75 and 87, 463, their worst in 6 years. Then we have the 2018 season. Right? The season, as with succeeding seasons, set several statistical records and quirks, such as being 60 or more games behind the division later World Series champions Boston Red Sox. The 2018 Orioles surpassed the 107 loss record from the 30 years prior, then subsequently surpassed the 1939 franchise 111 loss mark. When they were known as the St. Louis Browns, they were eliminated from playoff contention with a defeat of the Blue Jays on August 20th, including a win by the Athletics the same day. Manager Buck Showalter and manager Dan Duquette's contracts expired and were not renewed, concluding that season. Then we have the 2019 season. By late August 2019, the Orioles had lost twice as many games as they had won. And home runs were being hit at a record pace across the league. On August 22nd, the team set a single season MLB record for home runs allowed. They ended with a record of 54 and 108, good for the second overall pick in the 2020 MLB draft. So there we have it. That is our team history for the Baltimore Orioles. Of course, everybody knows one of the reasons probably I chose the Baltimore Orioles is one of my favorite players played for the Baltimore Orioles in 1981. And that was his rookie year. That is Cal Ripken Jr. And of course, he did play for his dad also that year. Trying to find the spot in here where it talked about it, but I can't find it right at the moment. But yeah, Cal Ripken Jr. So the reason why I wanted to, let's see. Yes, yeah, sorry, Hubers. I did switch it to the Baltimore Orioles. I got to change my title on the video after I'm done uploading it. But sorry about that if you were kind of confused. But if you do want, you can go back and watch the replay. And you will see, yeah, it is the Baltimore Orioles instead of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'll probably be doing the Pittsburgh Pirates next week. But yeah, the reason I changed this was last night what I was doing was I started my sorting process for my two favorite players. And most people on the channel and stuff know that my two favorite players are Cal Ripken Jr. and Ken Griffey Jr. And of course, that's why I wanted to do Baltimore Orioles today. I will be doing when the 2020 baseball season does start. I will be doing the Seattle Mariners baseball team history. And then I will go into a lot of the baseball player biographies, along with coordinating my my two favorite players' baseball card collection. So that's what I'm working on, in case you guys are wondering. So it is a big undertaking for my part as far as the organization of such. I've got I found out I pulled out all my straggler cards that I got floating around my different boxes and stuff, but I've got a 3,300 count box for each Cal Ripken Jr. and Ken Griffey Jr. that are kind of organized, and then I've got probably about a dozen binders or so that have Cal Ripken Jr. and Ken Griffey Jr. cards in them. But now I'm doing an undertaking of trying to organize all of my Cal Ripken Jr. cards, all of my Ken Griffey Jr. cards. So you might see some things in the display change here over time. But that's pretty much what I have undertaken now. And I'm doing that for a reason, especially for one of my players. This summer I'm going to do a special tribute to one of my two favorite players. So just wanted to kind of mention that to everybody in the chat. That's what I'll be doing upcoming. That's my next big feat. But just wanted to take this time and just kind of share things with you, what's going on in the channel and with my collection as a whole. Mike Ken Griffey Jr. and Cal Ripken Jr. is going to be quite the undertaking, that's for sure. So, just in case you're wondering what's going on. Yeah, and so, yeah, there, Huber. I will update my title to the Baltimore Orioles when I do finish this and get it uploaded. It wouldn't let me edit it because I had computer problems when I first started this morning. So, just wanted to kind of give that update to you in the channel so you knew what is going on here. Sorry, didn't realize this was slightly out of sequence here. There we go. Trying to get the glare off from the back of the camera because these are three-dimensional cards there, or hologram cards. So that's what's taking place. I don't really have anything else to kind of go over for now. Probably what I'll probably do coming up soon is I will be having some new different products that we'll be getting ready to open up as soon as I get them in the mail. But other than that, pretty much I think that's what some of my upcoming different things are. We'll be highlighting different cards within my collection. And that's my one big undertaking. So, okay, looks like my chat on my phone did lock up, so let me switch over here so I can see the chat in front of me. Let me do a live chat refresh on my iMac here so I can see what's going on for sure. All right. All right. So does anyone have any questions out there? I mean, I'm not right about at my 1.5 hour mark. Anything else you guys got going on today that I should be aware of? Let's see. I know Kevin will be live, I believe, next. He'll be tomorrow with his Fairfield Friday. I'm assuming he's doing a Fairfield Friday coming up. And other than that, I can't really think of anything else to go over right at the moment. How's you guys' weather in your neck of the country? It's kind of rainy and gloomy somewhat here. So, other than that, I can't really think of anything else to go over at the moment. One of my other projects I'm working on is getting trying to get a set of the Series 1. I don't know for sure down the road if Topps is going to come out with their Series 2 to finish off the complete 2020 set. I'm hoping they do. But we'll have to see what's going on. So for now, I'm just making sure I have enough in my card separation for the 2020 Topps Series 1. Try and get a complete 350 card set out of what I have pulled on the channel so far. So that's one of my projects going on, along with trying to finish some of my subsets. And I believe the only card I'm waiting on for now is, let's see, I gotta update that real quick. Hold on, I'll give you an update on my rookie medallion cards. So right now, I think I'm just trying to find the Mike Trout. That is my only one I am trying to hunt down now, is a Mike Trout. Everything on the right hand side here I do have in my collection. Okay, but the Mike Trout right now is the only one I'm working on trying to hunt down. I do have, let's see, I've got a Chris Bryant on the way, or at least I'm working on it. I got a Bo Jackson that I think somebody got a hold of for me. But yeah, and I did find, actually, I'll tell you a neat little story on this one. I was looking for the Chipper Jones, and I was like, wow, they want all these other people want a little bit too much for what I wanted to pay for a chipper. I mean, not that I wouldn't have paid it, but I found a 2-card combination, 2 rookie card medallions, and believe it or not, I could get the 2-card medallion lot less than what I would pay for 1 Chipper Jones. So I got an extra medallion card coming in that'll go up for sale at my next sale, hopefully, if we get that in time for for the first Saturday in June when I do my next sale. I will have a lot of insert cards for the Topps 2020 product, just in case anybody is wondering, in line with my sale coming up. And Robert Hohen says, I'll be robbing a bank later, stealing toilet paper money. Oh, toilet paper only. Oh, you're going to go to the bank? So at least you can go inside your banks. We can only go through the drive-through windows here. We can only go through the drive-through windows. The bank lobbies aren't open yet. At least they weren't last time I went. That's cute there, Robert. I'll be robbing a bank later, stealing toilet paper only. But that is pretty much where my rookie card medallion collection set is. I'm waiting on 3 that are on their way so I can get them officially checked off, and then just trying to find the Mike Trout. So let's see, if I turn these just slightly, you can see me in the background there. You can see me in the background here. Boy, that kind of looks a little bit scary sometimes, doesn't it? Here, let me put this guy right here. Let me see if I can adjust this guy right here. Wow, you can see the double reflection of me in the mirror. I could do my sign off this way, and that way you'd see me do my sign off. Of course, now you can see how my phone's set up in my tripod too. Oh, I just got some packages delivered to my mailbox. All right, so let's see. I can't really think of anything else to say real quick. Let me turn the camera around real quick so I can do my official sign off for today. There we go. You can see me with my Seattle Mariners baseball cap. This is my Edgar Martinez Hall of Fame one. Turn it around real quick. You can see my Edgar Martinez signature on the back of the hat. That way you can see my Edgar Martinez autograph on the back of the hat here. So that's pretty cool. And then other than that, I can't really think of anything else to discuss. Tomorrow will be our Hall of Fame Fridays. All right, so I'm going to pretty much turn the camera around. I'm just wearing my Seattle Mariners generic t-shirt today. When I do a team history, it's just my generic Seattle Mariners team t-shirt. Okay, so let me turn the camera around real quick, and I will go through and tell you the 2 Hall of Famers that we will be highlighting tomorrow for our next Hall of Fame. Okay. Of course, let's see, so last year I did, right? Or last week was the 19... want to make sure I'm giving you the right information here, that I don't do the wrong. So let me go into my videos real quick. See, so last week it was the 1968 Hall of Fame inductees. So this one for tomorrow is going to be our 1967 Hall of Fame inductees, which are, hold on, almost there. Oh, sorry. Had something else typed in there. That's why it wouldn't pop up. I was like, wait a minute, you're supposed to work. Okay, so our next Three inductees for tomorrow for 1967 Hall of Fame inductees is Branch Rickey, Red Ruffing, and Lloyd Weiner. Okay. Lloyd Weiner is with the Pittsburgh Pirates, a center fielder. Red Ruffing is a New York Yankees pitcher, and Branch Rickey is an executive for the Baseball Hall of Fame, or MLB baseball as a whole. Okay, so we will be going over their Hall of Fame inductees for tomorrow's video series, just in case you're wondering. So this is Donald Blomdahl Hall of Fame Veteran Sports Cards and Collectibles. Having been live to you, you can see my little salute in the hologram cards there. All right, so we will see you guys tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, for Hall of Fame Fridays. And we'll see, maybe I'll have some family mail call packages that I can share on the channel. Okay, depends on what's coming in the mail for the most part. So without further ado, I am going to close up for today, and we will see you guys tomorrow for Hall of Fame Friday. Okay, take care, and you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll see you tomorrow for Hall of Fame Friday. Take care there, Robert. Peace out. All right, bye for now. Take care. Okay, as usual, I had to sign back in real quick, so I'll be getting ready to sign everything off here. You guys take care. Have a great and wonderful day. We might see you around the channels today, later, depending on what I've got going on for sure. And we will see you tomorrow morning for sure, 10:30 a.m. with our Hall of Fame Friday. Take care.